Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of Season 5, Episode 2 of The Handmaid's Tale. This was again directed by Elisabeth Moss, and this time it's written by Nina Fiore and John Herrera. So I'm going to break down my review into three parts because that's how this episode is kind of spaced out. We'll start with everything with Serena, then we'll go to June, and then we'll finish off with Esther and Janine. So what's interesting with the Serena storyline is, of course, Mark is able to arrange this memorial funeral service for Serena. Mark always caves into Serena. He always drags on, giving Serena more and more power, whether he realizes it or not, and it's very, very frustrating. So you always get frustrated with Mark as a character. And she even says to him, "Are you going to protect me like you did Fred?" So it's not even like she's giving him a lot of credit or really trusting him that much, but he still just goes along with what she does. And you see, even when she arrives in Gilead and she sees Commander Lawrence and Nick, she's already bossing people around like the Serena Joy we know. You see through this episode her developing power again in Gilead and using a lot of her Serena Joy strategies we've seen in the show before. What is fascinating is that she also blackmails Nick and Commander Lawrence here in this episode to get what she wants. She's blackmailing them, saying that how would the other commanders feel knowing that you, commanders, killed a handmaid. So Nick and Lawrence, actually, this episode, are helping Serena because she just wants a great service for Fred here. And not only do they help Serena, but they kind of go above and beyond and give her even more great strategy and ideas through how they convince the commanders here. Even to a line that really stuck out with me, Nick saying how it looks merciful that they're forgiving a traitor, which actually made a lot of sense and really helped Serena's cause. Now, I'm in a theory that there is a trap here being laid by Commander Lawrence and Nick, and that they're appeasing to Serena now, but it's kind of like a ends justify the means plan. Something's going on because we didn't actually see Commander Lawrence's last conversation with the commander, so he might be laying a trap here for Serena where they're doing what she wants now, but there's an end game to their goal because they're really just succumbing to her and are showing a lot of fear to her, which can be frustrating for those characters at this point, but I think there is more to it we're just not seeing yet. Lawrence even got a nice diss here to Serena where they bring up hockey. And he's like, "Oh, you'd love it. It's elegant and brutal." I thought that was great, which is totally Serena. I really like the scene, though, with Serena talking to the commanders. It is really a callback to when she last talked to the commanders when she was proposing that women could read, and she had her finger cut off. So it was a good moment for her now to feel that anxiety again, talking to these people. And again, it's a hypocrisy because it's an area where she would agree with June how badly women were treated. But that Serena's being completely suppressed right now. She's not even thinking that way. It haunts her. She feels it, but she's still on her ultimate goal. That's how Serena does. Serena just lasers in on a goal and goes for it, ignores everything else. And Serena has this advantage she alludes to that she's been in Canada now. She knows how they think, so she knows it's important for Gilead to look like they're humans too, that they grieve and that they're not these monsters. And she's the one the idea of having this international stage for the memorial service. I also thought it was interesting that when Serena thinks she hasn't convinced the commanders and she's sitting down and Mark is kind of comforting her like, look, the worst they can do is say no. She actually asked Mark for a cigarette and is about to smoke a cigarette as a pregnant woman. That was very interesting to me. We know Serena loves the cigarettes, but that she would even risk her child doing that. That was fascinating character choice for me. So I wonder what you guys kind of think about that in that moment. I also like for directing Elisabeth Moss sneaking in a long take here when Serena first gets to the Putnam's wake. It was a nice little, not over the top long take, like, look, we're doing a long take. It kind of just smoothly fit into the scene and ended pretty short, but I thought that was really cool that she did that leading up to Serena finding out that everyone still thinks Fred is a traitor. Now you see Mark is offering Nick a deal here, like, you help me and I'll help clear your image to America. America could be forgiving because he's got a complicated past, again, because he's someone who Gilead took advantage of to recruit him because he was someone in poverty in a bad situation, but he still has been involved as a commander here, so how is he going to clear that image? And Mark's offering a way to do that so he can see his daughter in person whenever he wants. So there is also groundwork here being played by Mark, a guy, again, we never really know what this guy's plan is. He goes both ways constantly, so it's interesting to see they kind of planted that too, and where he really is, his Achilles heel is being Serena, will he get over that to do the right thing in the end of the day? Because it's a lot easier for him to screw over Fred, obviously, than it is to screw over Serena. Now we'll see Serena all in black cries over the casket of Fred. This is where it's going to lead into the ballet montage that is also the part where we're seeing Serena doing the funeral service for Fred. I'm going to jump into that when we're at the end of June's stuff, so let's hold on that for a second. So we see that this episode again opened in June's storyline with the Everly Brothers. All I Have to Do Is Dream. Shout out Everly Brothers. I love that band, and I'm happy they're getting a lot of airplay on a big show like this. And this is round 2 of this song playing, but this time instead of dreaming about Fred, she is dreaming about Serena. She's having a daydream. It's stuff that makes her feel that rage, anger. It almost motivates her, and it's moments of Serena abusing her. And this is important because this will also happen later on in the episode, which we're going to get to. But there's also little things happening with June that are you got to pay attention to. Like June buries the gun in the front yard, so that's going to come back. We know in shows and movies when you do that, something's going to happen with that later on. Now, where I need help with you guys is June is gardening some plants here. I am not an expert on plants. I have no idea what she's planting here, if there's any significance to this. So if you guys can kind of give me your theories on the plants or anything I missed there, because they clearly showed 3 times in this episode her attending those plants. So what is the deal with those plants? If I'm forgetting something, please let me know. And this, of course, is where Luke brings freaking Scrabble out. This is the most triggering board game you could have brought out for June, and it's giving her flashbacks to when she played Scrabble with Fred. But more importantly, this really triggers her because it leads her to remembering Serena holding her down while she's getting raped by Fred. So this is very important because it is going to lead to her behavior with Rita, where you feel for June. She's so angered and triggered in this moment that she's not thinking about how she's actually presenting herself, to how she's saying smart things to Rita about we should be worried about Serena and her plan, but just maybe not in the best way, bringing up something that would trigger Rita in that moment, like the story of how she slapped Rita when she couldn't slap June because June was pregnant. I love how Rita reacts, though, to June, where she's just like, stop it. Like, she says it like she's talking to, like, a little puppy. I thought that was great. Now, what I think is interesting, this is probably one of my favorite scenes with Luke and June to date, because we don't see them talking things out enough. There's always air that's not being spoken, but they got to speak together honestly here. And June confesses to Luke that she sent over Fred's finger to Serena, and that Serena knows that she's the one who killed Fred. And that would obviously piss off Luke because he doesn't want to put his family in danger with Serena knowing that. And he's like, you're obsessing. How does that help family? How does that help get Hannah back? He's talking about Serena here. But you see June's like, yeah, you're right. And in this moment, she's taking from Luke's wisdom to let go about Serena, right? Not think about her anymore. It's not worth it. And this will lead to them going to ballet and having a wonderful date at the beginning, night out here, and a normal night, right? And what's interesting is that the character of June has a higher calling than this, just to protect Nicole and Luke and live a normal life. She knows deep down there's more to her existence from where she's come. She wants to protect innocent people, but also she wants to save Hannah at the end of the day, not forget about her other daughter. And that will lead to the big moment of a call to action by the end of this episode, that not only does she see Serena winning here, having a big win with this international memorial service, not only that, but the big thing where I think maybe June still would have went Luke's way and let it go for a bit, but seeing Hannah there, and Serena knows that will totally be the thing that triggers June. That was completely planned by Serena to be Hannah, the one with the flowers. That's going to set June off to that cause. I'm talking about that higher calling June always has to get Hannah back. Now remember, this ballet montage we're going into at the end of this episode, poor June, again, still can't really have a normal night out with Luke because the ballet is obviously going to trigger her and give her memories of, this is a callback to episode 8 in season 1, Jezebel's. When she came back from Jezebel's, Serena gave her a pink music box with a little ballerina dancing in it, which was from Serena's childhood home. This led to a narration by June saying, the perfect gift, a girl trapped in a box. She only dances when someone else opens the lid, when someone else winds her up, which perfectly summed up June's feelings at that moment in the show. So if you're confused about why they did ballet, why they're showing ballet, this is the connection to Serena for June here, and this is why it's playing as the montage. It's all kind of a callback to that episode. And we see what's so interesting is after this ballet, she's able to get through it and actually has a really nice moment with this kiss with Luke. And you see Elisabeth Moss, her directing, she loves to film the 360 kiss. She did it with Jun and Nick. Now she's doing it with Jun and Luke. And you think, wait, like in this moment, this can really work between these two, maybe like the old days. But we know that's not going to happen. We know drama demands something to happen, like Serena coming on the screen at that time. That is conflict. And we get the classic pissed Jun close-up. But what I liked about this Jun close-up, it's cutting between the smirk of Serena. There is some real feeling and cool effect where it's like through a TV screen, but you feel like they really are staring at each other. I loved it. Now, before I even jump into my score for the episode, because that is the end of the episode, let's talk about Esther and Janine here, which was one of my favorite storylines from last season. But you see the Putnams want a new handmaid, and this is where Lydia suggests Esther, right? That's important to note, and that she's saying Esther's young and fertile. Now, Lydia makes poor choices, but she's been really just not good at her job of late, because she should know, which is alluded to in this episode where Miss Putnam is worried about Esther, because she's like, wasn't she a wife? That you're giving someone to be a handmaid to a wife, but she used to be a wife herself. How is that going to work? You know, that's like having the boss become then the assistant to a different boss. Humans don't like that. They don't like demotions. Somewhere they've been, they're not going to take orders from somebody else. So this is like Lydia's bizarre decision to suggest Esther, where she should know she's not going to work under another wife like Mrs. Putnam, having been a wife herself. And also, just a bad idea for Lydia having allowed Janine even come with Esther to her former house, knowing that Janine's daughter, Angela, is there. And this is also developing this storyline where Esther's getting paranoid of Janine, thinking Janine actually is out in bad intentions for Esther, that she's using Esther just to see her daughter. So I really feel like Lydia screwed a lot of stuff up here. And it's a heartbreaking moment when Angela runs to Janine here. There's so much to this, and Madeline Brewer just kills it, expressing so many emotions and dying inside, but finding that joy still to even just see Angela and having to put on a fake smile, because again, we know Janine's way of surviving is just doing what she is told. But that's where the conflict comes in, where Esther, in that big moment in the handmaid van, when she's holding Janine's hand, she pulls it away because she doesn't like how Janine's just suggesting get pregnant. There's no solution here that's like a Jun solution, right? She's been so influenced by Jun, but she takes it way too far, that Jun philosophy of rebellion, and hurts one of her own and over paranoia of Janine, someone who actually does care about her. And I cannot address that insanely creepy moment with Warren Putnam with Esther with the chocolate. That was so uncomfortable and hard to watch. And remember, Putnam's not like a Lawrence. There's not good to this guy. All we know about this guy is that he is not a good person, and we're seeing how creepy he is. And for me, I knew right when Esther came in there with treats, she had poisoned them for Janine. And I like that Elisabeth Moss directing, did a slow dolly, building the tension in this scene to finally land at them when it's about to happen, the big reveal. And Esther really gets attitude here. She's like, I really didn't like you when we first met, and I was right the first time. You don't care about me, you just want to see your daughter. Ouch, you know, and that's really got to hurt Janine, because Janine does care about Esther, and you feel for Janine for sure here. And that's leading to, again, where Esther's almost taking what Jun's taught her the wrong way, overdoing it, and she says we're going to make Jun proud here when she's poisoned her, but she's also got to survive her own putting the food in her mouth, that she doesn't poison herself. Or can we take this as a suicide also with Esther? I didn't read it as that, but it could be that as well, that she was going to just take them both out, that she wasn't going to live with Putnam, and that there was no other way out. But I'm going to show you guys think. How did you guys read that? But I wonder, is this another Janine fake out death here like last season? That'd be very frustrating if it is. But it also is bittersweet, because I don't want Janine to die. She's like my favorite character. So I really hope they didn't kill her here after we just had a fake out death all of last season with her. To just have this even happen was a little bizarre to me. It's almost too soon. And if she died here, I'm going to be really upset. That's just the way it is. Like, she's such a likable character. Can't lose Janine, but we'll see what happens here. I'd love to hear your theories on that. Do you guys think she's dead for good, or is just another fake out? Either way, it's frustrating. But overall, I am giving this episode an 8.4, a little better than premiere. However, I still think this season's a little flat so far. I can't put my thumb on it, but there is just a stagnant feel to certain things going on, and not this like intense rhythm where you're on the edge of your seat. It's more of like a lot of setup, which I get and is necessary, but I'm not as engaged right now. I think that's going to change quickly, especially when Jun now makes her decision clearly to go to Gilead and take care of Serena. I think, again, the ceiling is so high for the season. I think it's going to end really good and probably get really good in the middle too. But right now, these aren't the most memorable first 2 episodes of a season. If I could think of previous openers in Handmaid's Tale, it's not the best opening week they've had. Just a little flat and trying to set things up and restart things after the death of Fred, which is a big event, so I get that. But at the same time, just looking at it as episodes on their own, not the most memorable, but this to me was an improvement over episode 1. So I'm giving this one an 8.4. Please let me know your thoughts down below. And also, please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss one of my reviews of Handmaid's Tale. And please, all the support you can get for House of Dragon, check out my reviews of that. If you watch that show, please watch my reviews for that. You can tip down below. That will help me in so many ways. You hit the thanks button, or you can become a member, and that's a donation. You get exclusive live streams. That helps me too in so many ways. You have no idea. I'm grateful for all you guys. Give me all the comments. Praise be. Follow me at Steve Varley Show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for more of me. Gloves are coming off, and I'll see you next time.